right, what is going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well today. Today we have a indie pop, um, just indie pop kind of mix. I don't know exactly the genre that the artist would classify this as, but I think it's an indie pop track. We'll listen to it in a second, and I'm excited about this one. This is the final mix. This is the approved mix, and I'm going to master it today. Um, but yeah, this is a dope song. We can go ahead and just kind of listen through it first, all the way through, and then I'll kind of just talk about the song a little bit. This is definitely going to be like a full on breakdown of what I did here. It's going to be kind of more in depth. But yeah, let's just go ahead and listen to the track.
I can't hold this all. You hold me. When I start to fall, you show me. When I let go, you take control. So what if the whole world sets ablaze? So what if my lover forgets my name? I'd still look up and see your face. So what if I'm 17 and unhappy? One day I'll be 50 feeling everything. You're realer than my realest feelings. You are love, and that is my reality. Are you looking down with your glass in your tall chair? Or did you come down to suffer so my burdens would be bared? So I let go. This foreign land was not meant to be home. So what if the whole world sets ablaze? So what if my lover forgets my name? I'd still look up and see your face. So what if I'm 17 and unhappy? One day I'll be 50 feeling everything. You're realer than my realest feelings. You are love, and that is my reality. You're my shepherd, you're my strength. I have all that I need. How could I not praise your name? You are close, so why should I fear? You're my comforter when my enemies are near. My cup overflows, and I am pursued by your goodness and love. All my hope is found in you.
Absolutely killer. Um, yeah, great song. really, really fortunate and blessed to have been able to just receive this and work on it. The track outs were amazing. The production is there. The vocal performance is there. The vocal recording, it sounds great on its own. Really, really just pleasure of a song to receive. Um, yeah, so I guess a little bit about the mix. This is the um I didn't have any revisions for this mix, which isn't really something to like shoot for. And sometimes it's like it's great to get the feedback because you're getting closer and closer. But this is just I only say that because this was one that I really felt. I feel like I really understood the vision for this and kind of just kind of saw like what this should feel like, you know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I can get into it a little bit. There was a good amount of just pre pre-mixing kind of editing type of stuff that I did before I really started kind of just like locking in and getting into that just flow state, if you will. Um, and a lot of that editing was with the drums. So I can say here some of the drums. So I think there was a mix of an actual live kit and whether I don't know if it was like hand programmed or if it was triggered. Um, but there were definitely some like trigger-ish sample type elements in the drum kit. So here you can check out there was a kick mic and some other drum elements that I actually didn't use in the mix. First was this kick mic. It's not bad, but because they included this kick trigger, um, it just was already everything that I kind of would need the kick to be in this song. Like that sounds great. Anything I do to this mic is just gonna be to try and get it to sound like the sample that I already have. So I just didn't need it, so I didn't use that. And relied on just these two tracks. There's also this. It's definitely a sample, but it's like the top end of the kick. On its own, that's like not enough, but blended in, and it is pretty subtle. That does kind of make this subconscious difference throughout the sections, and that's definitely something that I was doing with this song as I was mixing it. Is like you'll see here all of this. That's the clip gain lines, and there's not really an element that doesn't have some sort of clip gain automation going on, just because you want each section to feel a little bit different and to take you on a journey. The start should feel way different than like the peak chorus and then that instrumental where you just get lost in the music. So something here with the kick is like this high end kick is really quiet at first. I wanted the kick to feel soft at that first section. But later on when it's high energy, it's more in there. That's the kick later on in the song at the peak versus how it starts out. So that just a little thing like that really can like make there be an actual like flow of emotions and like just help tell the story of the song. Another thing before we really get into it, we can listen to the demo and just kind of see this kind of was a transformative mix. I think that yeah, just especially with the drums and kind of like I spent a lot of time kind of finding the right sound for some of these drums. So here we'll take a look at the demo mix and I'll go back and forth. So this is the demo.
what if my lover forgets my name? I'd still look up and see your face. So what if I'm 17 and unhappy? One day I'll be 50 feeling everything. You're realer than my realest feelings. You are love and that.
So definitely just there's a new sound to quite a bit of this. Where do I start? I guess we can start with the drums. Yeah, so the kick really didn't need to do there. You'll see really the main like thing that makes this mix stand out is the way that I'm allowing the different elements to move, come into the foreground and come out of the foreground throughout the journey of the song. And the space that the different elements occupy, like they're not really clashing. They shouldn't be at the very least. Like be fighting for any of that same space in the mix. And I mix this song not on headphones. I know I'm wearing headphones now. I just have to with how streaming is and like the way my mic is. Um, but I mixed this song on the Kali Audio IN8s, and I used this Arc Studio room correction, and that's really what allowed me to trust what I was hearing. I did listen in the car after I had my first revision thing. I guess I could say there was no revisions, but I did my own revision. I did an initial mix and then just kind of slept on it and listened to it for like a night and then came back and then did what we have now. But yeah, that I did listen to the mix in the car, and it didn't like surprise me with anything, but it is good to kind of just like move around. And it definitely did point out, just for example, like it was hard for me to tell how loud the rim was in this room, but listening on like headphones and in the car, it was like, okay, no, that does need to come down a little bit. So there's something like that, just really kind of minor stuff where you kind of like get so used to how things sound in here that just hearing it somewhere else will make certain things kind of stand out to you. Um, yeah, but for the most part, I found that pretty early on I was able to kind of listen to this as a song rather than a mix, which is how I kind of gauge like, all right, this is in a good place because I can, do something while I'm listening to this and not be like, oh man, that needs to change. That's like the test, if you will, like can this be on in the background and just sound like music test for a mix? And I definitely like started to get that sense pretty early on. Yeah, with the snare, same kind of thing. Let me see the original snare tracks. Got to be one of these. Yeah. So originally we had these snare tracks and they're gated and um just have like some weird kind of timing phase alignment stuff that was kind of hard to get straightened out. I think with the overheads too, it just wasn't really working. So I decided to just trigger the snare. There's not any actual snare mic coming through in this mix. Here you can hear, I think, yeah, that's what the snare mic sounds like before. Pretty transformative. This sample is from Jake Reed's Super Dead Drums kit, I think. Yeah. Just a good kind of dead sounding snare. Really tiny EQ moves here. and that's the both snares are being sent to the snare aux, and that mainly is just for volume. So I was able to just draw some automation for. Did I actually do that? Yeah, I think there was just I didn't even need it for that part. I think that was just so I would be able to control both snare mics or snare samples at the same time. This other snare trigger was also included. Let me take this off. So yeah, that sounds pretty cool too. That was like the thing they included for the 3 and 4, really. Like none of the rolls had that sample on it. I even tried to kind of recreate this roll here with that sample. It just sounded really choppy. So yeah, just kind of let that be what it was. And actually it ended up being this like supporting element to make those choruses hit even harder, since it does only come in at that point.
So what if the whole world set to blaze? So what?
Yeah, those choruses just kind of bang a little bit harder because they're only in those sections. In the snare track, they for verse 2 switched to side stick. So I decided to make that. I just duplicated the tracks, separated it because I wanted to treat it separately.
Are you?
And I am using a sample here as well. I don't know where that sample's from, but yeah. And then this is the actual mic. What I ended up doing was the playing was a little bit inconsistent. So I just took one hit that I really liked and then hand like placed it on every hit and then just consolidated that clip. So it's, consistent. There's no cymbal bleed. That was just probably the best way to go about it. So this is a lot of that just like before I even got into mixing it. This is just kind of straightening out the drums and the track outs so that I can just like mix this and just focus on the balance of things without having to like, spend time like why isn't this feeling right? So I just wanted to kind of, prepare the whole song pretty well. And yeah, there's not too much like that's again, you're not gonna see like any plugin thing that's doing something crazy that's just, oh, that's why it sounds good. That's definitely not gonna be the case. Like here's the rims before any treatment. Other than that sample here, I'll just bringing up the sustain and adding some reverb. And the reverb sounds pretty dramatic on its own, but in the context of everything else,
With your glasses.
it sounds appropriate. Yeah. Then there's this cool like hi-hat loop thing. It's got kind of like a house groove actually to it.
Or did you come?
And then for the overheads too, like my initial thought is, what am I supposed to do to these overheads to make them sound to make them sound good and like a record? There wasn't really anything I needed to do to get them there. Obviously, throughout the different sections, you can see in this final chorus, the overheads are the loudest. And the overheads are picking up a lot of the hi-hat and stuff. And it came actually with that delay on it. I think that's just kind of something the producer wanted to kind of give it that like chugging feeling. That's what it sounded like on its own. Reverb, just kind of getting out some of that kick. and some kind of saturation. I'm actually kind of darkening it a little bit with this. Just some of those like really, really highs are being tamed by that. And other than that, it's just volume to kind of place it how I want within the drum kit. So here I'll just solo the drums. And then there's also this like I've definitely programmed or triggered ride cymbal. Or maybe they played that, I don't know. But it's totally isolated, which is nice because there's like I don't have to worry about any other kit coming through. That's mixed in with the overheads. But yeah, drum kit before anything. It is a little bit more exciting overall on the drum bus. I really don't find myself doing a whole lot of compression. I wonder, this probably isn't like getting triggered too much. Okay, it is. It's a compressed sound for sure. Like the drums overall are pretty compressed, and then it's also hitting this compressor. Orion just kind of doing some low frequency saturation stuff. And yeah, simple EQ. And I don't think I had any of that stuff going on. So really, yeah, that's the drums. I didn't really like mix them too much in solo. Like I didn't try and get the drums to sound good on their own. It definitely was like a in context type of mix. For the bass, this was a pretty transformative track because before it didn't have a lot of low end really. Like I'm hearing way more treble in this bass than bass. So a couple things I'm doing here. This really, really, really subtle. Getting some of the hiss and hum out of there. CLA bass. Can't hate it. And something I'm doing here with CLA bass is in the final instrumental. That there's kind of like two peaks to this song. One is the last chorus, and then there's also the instrumental. The instrumental in my mind is like the real, like you're getting lost in the music section. So that is the loudest part of the song. And for that part, I'm adding distortion for just that part. And I'm also kind of widening the bass. Adding chorus to it. I also have fuel on the bass. I do that like all the time. It's just great for low end and bringing out just the body and getting a great bass sound. Even on kick, it's great too. Dynamic EQ thing here on some of those high. Just taming some of that stuff. And then I'm side chaining the kick in certain, or side chaining the bass during certain sections of the song. Actually, no, I think this is throughout. And I am side chaining another element at just that one section. But especially in that last section is, yeah, no. That I'm lowering the threshold during that one part so that it is being sidechained throughout, but now it's like really pumping. That was just the feel that I was envisioning for that one section. I see like this movie. It's like a soundtrack to like this high school movie. It's summertime. Like that's the vibe that I'm getting from that section of the song. And the bass, the sidechain bass, it just, I don't know, it just adds to that feeling so much for me. When it comes to the music, we have just this piano part here, and it's a mono piano. Really, really like beautiful sound here. And you can see a lot of clip gain automation going on, especially in that last chorus. It's at its, or that last like instrumental section, it's at its loudest.
me.
But yeah, at first I was like, man, where does this sit? Like that was the first thing that I tried to tackle, was where should all these elements sit? Where does the acoustic and the EGs, like how do they all work together? And with this being a mono piano, it just kind of sits really closely there in the middle. And then these, that's kind of off to the left, and acoustic more to the right. So they do kind of form like this all around image here. Got piano. That's this, you don't really notice that. But that's over here, adding that warmth. And then I got the bright acoustic over here. And like they just sounded pretty good on their own. A couple things I'm doing to add just a little bit of excitement to these. I guess I'll leave all of that there. So here's what we had before. Like really, really, I love that sound. It sounds like a Christmas type of piano to me. It has like just that feeling of an old home piano. This is one of my favorite tools that I've been using lately on like everything. It's that mojo. There is a sense of like just adding mojo to a mix and kind of just exciting things and making them sound better. Not so much like a tone shaping thing, but it's just like this is something that kind of just like dynamic enhancer kind of just enhances the sound. It just kind of makes most of what you're going to put it on sound better. And a lot of that does come from it being brighter. So that's the first thing I'm doing here. Yeah, really, really kind of subtle taming of some of those mid frequencies. And then this is a effect thing. That's also just some mojo, some just sauce, and then reverb and a eighth note delay. So just giving it more atmosphere. And I think that atmosphere helps it sit pretty well. And the reverb is panned mostly to the right. So that's another thing I'm doing to try and help create space with the mix. Is like if something is mostly to the left, I'll send the reverb to the right, and I'm doing that for the main guitar here, to give it width while still allowing it to occupy its own space. So yeah. For the acoustic here, I'm like the characters all there. Just really, I think the biggest thing that I'm doing here is adding reverb. I can get into what reverbs I'm using. Really, really slight tone shaping. Getting rid of some more highs here, adding some drive. And then this is, again, just giving that top end excitement, that brightness. Real quick, I will just look at some of the reverbs that I'm using. Music Verb is just a pure plate reverb. And then I also have a spring reverb. I love using a spring reverb. This is just that spring reverb. So really, really love those two tools. Like that's the thing that I reach for first with all of these. You'll see is like just putting effects on them. Real quick, just a little bit about my template that I have here. This is a mix of so many different templates that I've accumulated throughout the years and just kind of systems that I've developed. But because I bypassed and unbypassed all things, it shows that everything's active, but it's actually not being used. But I have on the group here like all of the effects. So it will have over here drum effects, which are routed to the drum bus, not to like an all effects thing. I have the bass effects here, and then the music effects here, and they all get routed to the actual like bus. Buses that I would like print stems from. And I just kind of drag over the effect that I want. And I have a ton of effects to select from for each, return. So, yeah. Already came with reverb on it. But that spring just really brings it to life. And that, these two plugins just bring it a little bit more into the foreground, make it a little bit more exciting. And I guess some of the moments here that I wanted to bring out were that happens right before the chorus. That's kind of like what kind of kicks it off. So yeah, just those moves are really what makes the mix. It's moving. Those parts are jumping out at you when they need to. Think about it as this spotlight of like, all right, in that moment, right? So before we're focusing on the vocal, and then that snare drum fill. It's like really, really instantaneous. One thing is going to be in the spotlight. Vocal, snare, snare, guitar, and then the dun, dun. So just in that little section, there's like the spotlight switching on to like so many different things. And if I left everything stagnant, that just wouldn't be the case. And I'm making this like chug thing louder too, because that's the first hit. That's what ushers in or not chug thing. This is the strat. This is what's ushering in the chorus. This is that like summer, like rock out, like that is just like the call of summer. So that's just how I'm thinking about these elements. You can see I'm turning down the piano in that section as well, bringing it up for the tag. Everything's pretty much getting automated throughout each section, and this chug thing here as well. It's in the intro, but it doesn't need to be noticeable right now. I think this piano really has enough of what I'm looking for to kind of give it a bounce and a rhythm, especially with the kick. Now that chugging is really present. Verse 2. Again, it's in the background. I don't really need to hear it that much. And then in the last peak section, this is where I'm side chaining it. So it's just a vibe. It's just the feeling. yeah, the guitars, I mean, there's not too much that I'm doing other than meticulously automating the moments that I want to bring the things into the foreground that, and if it's not into the foreground, like for this chugging, I wouldn't say it occupies any foreground, but make it more noticeable, make it, you know, a little bit more present, just make it more, make you feel it more. Um, so that's really all that I'm doing. It's really predictable. Pretty much, I have Pro Q3 on almost every track and a Magma channel strip, just because it's really simple. I want it brighter. I want it less bass. Maybe I just want some saturation, and that's kind of it. Also, it's kind of nice to use this for volume control. Sometimes if there's just a lot of automation or it just needs to come down by a lot, um yeah, just kind of will do it there. And these chords at the end
How could
didn't do anything to.
close? So
I literally didn't do anything except for turn it up 0.5 dB.
easily, my cup overflows, and I am pursued.
And then the acoustic comes back in. There was just some parts that I think were just jumping out a little bit too much.
My cup
Yeah.
overflows, and I am pursued by
So
your good.
for the lead, I mean, it's killer. There's just some parts that I am, yeah, automating like the tail end of some words.
Happy one day I'll be 50, feeling everything. You're realer than my realest feeling.
Like really, really small changes here. And I'm just doing a little bit of auto tune. That's probably at 20, 35, 20. And yeah, the vocal chain is really, really simple. Again, the effects are what brings it to life.
So what if the whole world sets ablaze? So what if my lover forgets my name? I'd still look up and see your face. So
I'm just doing 4 things here. Low cut, dipping out some low mids or some mids.
So what if
A little
the
bit of
whole
brightness
world
here
sets
with the
ablaze? So
SSL.
what if my lover forgets my name?
de-essing.
I'd still look up and see your.
And this is the heavy lifter here, Gem Dopamine. I put on vocals all the time. It's pretty similar. I think it's literally supposed to emulate the same thing as the not that, as the A type. If this is it, yeah. I think they're emulating the same type of thing, but it just brings out that presence. And it is different than just brightening it with EQ, from what I can tell. So just doing that, adding the reverb, and a slap delay,
So what if the
really
whole
subtle.
world sets ablaze? So what if
Some
my lover
chorus
forgets
for
my
this
name?
modulation,
I'd still look up
and
and see.
automating some like effects and
So
delays.
what if the whole world sets ablaze? So what if my lover forgets my name? Your face. So what if I'm set?
Yeah, just kind of adds a little bit of bounce. For all of the BGVs and all of that stuff, there's not a whole lot here, but I can say, so it was like, I didn't have a lot of layers to work with.
When I let go.
Like this one harmony, I'll take everything off. Yeah, it's just a mono track.
When I let
So I don't like putting the BGVs in the middle with the lead. unless I have like one left, right, and one center. But yeah, my tendency is to put them off to the side, and with a mono track, I'm like, well, I don't want to put it just to the left, and then there's nothing in the right, and we have the lead in the middle. So what I'm doing for these mono BGVs to kind of get them in the sides, um, is I'm using doubler 2 on the bus, just so it's all being affected, and I'm taking it out of the middle, so that really widens everything out.
I'd still look up and
Now it's
see
totally way off in the sides there.
your face. So what if I'm 17 and unhappy?
There's some chorus, some spreading with like micro shift, some slap delay, just more things to just kind of give it texture, multiply like how many are actually happening, so it's not just this one thing. Yeah, and Pro Q, same thing I've been doing. A little bit of drive here, that's it. De-esser, that doubler, and gym dopamine to bring it out, and a little bit of auto-tune. Yeah, what are these? What do we have?
This foreign land was not meant
So
to.
with these, I had two separate harmonies that are happening at the same time. So I kind of leaned them. I didn't go like all the way to one side, but they are leaning in opposite directions. I also have a happy accident here where I put this double. It's just
So what if the whole world sets ablaze? So what if my lover
it's the same thing for the chorus. I didn't realize that there were two of them. I think they were labeled differently. So I put them in different places, and I made this double its own like effects chain and all that.
can see your
Really similar, but it's definitely louder, and that adds to making that final chorus more big and hit like just harder than it does this first time. So it's just a little happy accident, something I would have probably wanted to do anyways, but just kind of happened on its own. And then we have these oohs that are like, that is just, that's my favorite part of the song, this section. They're not really like in the foreground like crazy, and that's on purpose. They're not the main focus of this section. They are a really, really strong supporting element, but there's parts where the piano is the main focus, where this strat is the focus, the bass, like it's kind of the music overall, I think, is the main focus at that part. But yeah, same thing, just a low pass and some drive, de-essing, and getting it wide, taking out the middle and brightening it, and then reverb. I'm not doing any of this stuff. So yeah, it did not need a whole lot, and you can see I have left, center, right. So that is that's pretty much it. I think one last thing when it comes to the music, that chorusy strat, like I flipped, no, I flipped the chugging to kind of give it its different space, but this one, it's kind of like it comes at you from the right, so that was just like that's already how it was, but that's something I definitely wanted to play into, um, and I like didn't change that. You know what I mean?
So what if
I just think that's so cool how the like thing that the rock out that kicks off each chorus is coming at you from the right, and then you got like everything else that kind of fills out the stereo image after that. Um, and then the last thing would be the mix bus on the all Vox. I am using a compressor. Um,
so I let go?
Probably not getting.
Or did you come down?
Yeah, really minor, but for the most part, I'm controlling what I want to control with the clip automation, and some slight dynamic stuff with like the S's and high end stuff. All of the music is going through this tape machine. I put it here because I don't want to round off too much of the transients from the drums, so I'm just affecting, and even the bass, I don't want to round off too much transients there. So this is just giving the music overall a little bit more vibe.
Or did you come down?
Yeah, I like, it's just really subtle. I hear presence, a little bit of distortion there, and the bass has
Or did you?
a little bit of this like chorusy magic switch on it. Mix bus, final part. So here I'll just bypass everything I have on the mix bus. This was a mix where I was like, okay, it sounds like it's cool, like everything's like sitting right, but it didn't in my mind sound good, or it didn't sound like I was making it better until I really got to the mix bus and started adding some of those stereo width plugins. So here's before the mix bus.
Or did you come down
It's not right.
to suffer so my burdens would be buried? So I let go. This foreign land was not meant to be. Oh.
Okay, there's some effect is out of control here. But yeah, that's when
Or did you come down to suffer so my burdens would be buried?
yeah, where is it?
So I let go.
I'm not sure where that's coming from. Anyways, yeah, that's really where it was like, okay, now this is like sounding exciting. Now this sounds like better, like a full song. So I am using a little bit of this saturation tool, a little bit of this. This is for stereo image. This saturation knob is like insane.
Or did you
I'm gonna go to a separate. Why is that happening? I'm gonna fix that. What? I think that definitely makes it a good amount louder, but yeah, I just anytime I turn that on, I'm like, okay, that's way closer to what I want to hear. And then this separates mids and sides and kind of compresses them differently. I didn't really go for that, so I'm giving it more headroom so that it's not really a dramatic difference, but there is a little bit of like volume difference here. of about like 0.5 in difference between the sides being louder than the mids. And then Oxford Inflator here is a little bit of excitement. And this here is for low end and a little bit of high end excitement stuff. It's just like these sound goodizer type of plugins. And I'm dipping out some low mids and adding some highs. And this is, I'm just using this for its amount knob. This mix bus is all about just the sauce, those things that just like make it sound better. And then lastly is master plan, and I'll be using master plan as well when it comes to mastering, because this algorithm, it's like a mix between limiting and clipping. You can see here it's a special limiter slash clipper circuit. So it's obviously just making it louder. I think it makes it sound better as well. Adding some width and some thicker low end and some cleanness. I think that, yeah, that's for build up in the low mids. And this is like for this calm is to reduce like in the box type of build up. So really big fan of master plan. Here's a before and after. So that is really everything. That's pretty much everything with this mix. That's how I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it as this movie, this story. I guess another real quick thing, just when it comes to how I found like the balance, I had a different balance of this song. It was like minorly different, but I in that daybreak, I listened to the reference track it was Light On by Maggie Rogers, and that song was just like so much more in your face. And I didn't listen to I know the song, but I didn't like compare it A B until I like got it to what I thought it should be. I really wanted to kind of just approach this song for what it was first before I tried to make it something else or take inspiration from something else. Um but once I did listen to that, I was like, oh man, like this could go so much further. Especially, this is one of the first songs I've mixed with the new studio renovation, so I wasn't too sure where the low end should be. I was like, this is calm, but this will probably be really loud elsewhere. Um but after listening to that, I was like, yo, this needs to be a little bit more explosive. So after listening to the reference track the artist sent, I brought up the bass a little bit, brought up some of the music, turned down the vocals just a little bit because they still needed to sit up front. When you listen on an iPhone, it sounds like really vocal heavy, kind of what you would hope to hear from, reel when you're scoring on reels. That's something I, don't really mix for, but it's not a bad thing. Um, yeah, so that was kind of part of the process, was just like, all right, this is where I think it's at. I'm gonna listen in the car, listen to the reference track. Oh snap! Obviously, one was mastered, one wasn't. But still, there was just like this explosion that I wanted to go for, and that's what I did in this version. With the just like I added sub to the bass, made the sub heavier, so I turned up the sub here. Um, yeah, but that is really it. I really enjoyed mixing this song. Um, yeah, really, really great song. So grateful to have worked on it. And I hope that this breakdown was helpful or entertaining or something. I don't care. Hope you got something from this little breakdown. And until next time, until the next one. All right.